Hey, good evening. Welcome to Foreigner in the Philippines. Well, I wanted to address a few different things that Beth thinks are coming up for renewal, I guess. And I think the first one would be, as in most things, our life has been so greatly affected by the virus. I guess we're not allowed to say that word anymore, are we? The whatever it is, 19. But has it affect the cost of living? Has it affect how much we pay for things? Well, I think that it has affected things very much so, but I wonder if it's mainly with the people who are in charge of the bigger companies. I think you may possibly have seen a video that we made last year where this was just prior to this pandemic coming in, and I went to buy something for the house, went to buy some blinds, and what happened was that I saw the price when it was on the rack, and the price, I've forgotten the real price, but let's say that it was a blind, Venetian blinds for the house, and I looked at one and it said 400. So calculating on that, I bought 3. When I got to the cash desk, turned out that 2 of them had 400 on there, but when we looked at the third, it had 500. Well, my view on that is that of a foreigner. If you went into, I don't know, Walmart and something was 400 on the shelf, then when you got to the cash desk, they would be required to give you that price for whatever was on the sticker. So if it said 400, they couldn't suddenly say, oh yes, we're looking up the new price and the new price is 500, which is what happened to me when I went to Alturas. So just in one fell swoop, 100 pesos was added to a price of 400, which is a pretty stiff price hike if you think about it. So I argued about it. In the end, I actually said, no, I'm not going to have that. Beth, with her Filipino approach to things, we were in Tubigon. We'd gone to Tubigon and we'd gone down there and we'd had McDonald's, and then we went on the spur of the moment, we decided that we'd go in and have a look at the blinds, see if they had the colour in the number that we wanted, which they did, but not in the price. So I came out. So when Beth talked to me about it in the truck, her point was, so you didn't get them? No, I didn't. Because I'm operating on the idea that as a foreigner, you're not allowed to do that. Well, I'm not in foreign land, am I? So her point was a purely practical one. She said, so for 300 pesos, we now, to save 300 pesos on the principal, we now don't have the blinds that we need. So we drove back up, we passed the end of our road and went a further 18 or 20 kilometers, and we went to Alturas in Talabon, where I bought 3 blinds for 500 each. So she had made her point. So have I seen any great price increases since on everything else? The biggest one has been very recently. In the last 3 to 4 months, we've actually been uncomplaining about the power bill, and the power bill has been coming in at around 400 to 500 a month. Well, in view of how many lights we have on all the time, mind you they are LED, which are much cheaper to run than the ordinary light, but we do have a new AC unit which we have used. We also have a filtration unit on the pool, which is a tiny pool, by the way. It's only 15 feet by 15 feet, and at the deepest it's only 5 foot, but it goes up to something like 3 at the other end. Well, the other end, such as it is. So we hadn't counted on it being that much more, but we did kind of expect that we would have to hold our breath eventually. Well, it eventually came around for last month, and now it's turned out that the bill is in excess of 20,000. In fact, I think that Beth, at first she was saying it was 15, then
it's 26, and then 26,100 something, and then what the guy did, he divided it into 2 months in electric company.
So instead of paying
26 in one go in a month, this month.
So he cut us a break on that.
Yeah, and
but nevertheless, technically speaking, for 1 month it had gone up from 500 to 26,000.
I checked it in our receipt. Last December we only paid 400.18 pesos.
Okay, well, as you can see, we really don't agree on what can possibly be the explanation. But what my experience with, as little as it is, when I was in the UK, a friend of mine took a job with the power company there, and at one point the employees were instructed to increase people's bill by 25%, just because they could. And now we've been hit with this very big bill. Admittedly, as I said to Beth, well, we didn't complain when it was only 400, did we? And we went on quite happily for that, but holding our breath in case for the future. Well, we didn't hold our breath quite enough, I think, because that's an extremely big bill. And if we were to assume that we were going to have a 15,000 peso bill every month, that would be of serious concern. So the original focus of this video was, has the virus affected our everyday living costs? And I think it has. Gas has gone up quite a bit, and that's of concern to us because we run the Raptor, which is not exactly known as an economy car as far as gas goes. So we do notice that things are more expensive. So I think that when you've got companies like Alturas, they can simply put their prices up on existing stock. Now that's the point. When a company can put things up on stock which already exists, then that's not usually regarded as being okay. So have all costs across the board increase, and I would have to say no they haven't. But somehow we do need more money, and so maybe this has surfaced in that, for me, I'm very much aware of the fact that people are actually struggling. So I have my people that I go to. I go to one particular lady that sits outside the supermarket, and she sells bananas, which she obviously harvests, I would think, where she lives, either from her own trees or possibly from her neighbours, which means that she has to buy. I always try to give more on that lady. She's an older lady, and I would assume that if we're struggling, then she must be struggling very much so. So we try to be more generous on things like that. We never actually expect anybody to do anything for nothing. So when we use our workers for doing the houses that we build, we don't ask the people that we're building for if they want to help, they can, but we don't expect them to do it for nothing, because they're already struggling to such an incredible amount that they've been living in a house that is absolutely tumbled down. So do they have the money to volunteer for that? No, I don't think they do. So we try to give more on that. The lesson, I think, is that you have to be aware that when people are struggling overall, if you're in a position to help, then it's a good idea to help. That's the way that we look at it. And so when we have anything to eat in any kind of eating place, short of something like Jollibee or McDonald's, which has no allowance for giving a tip, but in any other eating place we tip. I'm not even sure anymore whether that is Philippine culture. I don't think it is, but it's always very well received. So things have changed, but as I was about to say, the real lesson surely is that you have to have a reserve, and that reserve has to be comfortable enough that you can, in the difficult times, you can take a little from the reserve and be able to put it back later. But certainly if anything goes wrong, like a power bill that suddenly goes completely out of control, then you really need to be able to have access. Just imagine if we were not able to pay an excessive bill, what we think of it as an excessive bill. If we were not able to do that, then they cut you off. There's no, it's not a human decision. You don't pay the bill, you get cut off. I think it's a 2-day leeway is all that you get. So things are different here. Gas goes up, you got to pay. I don't really pay much attention to how much gas goes up. We got to have it. There is no choice in that. I can't say, oh well, we're not going to use as much as I can try, but we do what we have to do, and most people are like that. So if you're coming out here, have a little more than you think you might need, and that would probably be a good idea. So hope our little discussion helps. Bye for now.